Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, card check certification allows workers to form a union without employer interference and allows a smoother process. This province had card check but was removed by the former Conservative government, and the removal was supported by the Liberals in 2014. So I asked the new Minister responsible for Labour, will this government reintroduce card check certification to make it easier for workers to unionize?
The Honourable the Minister, where are we? Rural Economic Development and Labour.
Thank you, Speaker, and it certainly is a privilege and honour to answer my first question as the new Minister for Economic Development, Labour and Workplace NL. As we know, and as the member knows, I know he's well versed on this topic, and I appreciate his interest. This certainly is an issue that is very complex, and we know that there are only 2 jurisdictions in Canada doing this, Quebec, of course, and BC. And as we know, when we introduce new legislation, it's something that has to be monitored. But I'm very proud of the amendments that have been made. But that said, we will continue to monitor this. But we do know it is very complex, and it's very important that we balance the needs of employers as well, of course, as Labour. Thank you, Speaker.
The Honourable Member Labrador West.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, all federal parties agreed that anti-scab legislation and when we ban scabs, we protect workers' charter right to strike, and that right is enshrined in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This legislation will protect workers and their jobs. I asked the new minister, will she table anti-scab legislation and continue to work so to make sure that the scales are truly balanced for workers?
The Honourable Minister of Rural Economic Development and Labour.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you again. I thank the honourable member. Again, I will repeat, we do know that the current anti-replacement worker legislation only exists in Quebec and BC. But since then, though, Speaker, since 2022, we have made significant legislative amendments to the Labour Standard Acts, which I'm very proud of, and that workers can be proud of, and Labour, as you know, in general, here in our great province, such as the remove sick note requirements for employees requiring short-term illness leave, and amended job protection leave related to long-term illness, long-term injury, and organ donation. So we are making good work, and we certainly will continue to monitor legislation to make sure that we are responsive and relevant. Thank you, Speaker.
The Honourable Member Labrador West.
Thank you, Speaker. Also, she forgot off the list, Manitoba has also introduced it, as well as, I believe, in other provinces in the process of doing it. So there is other provinces doing that. Speaker, we have been 100 years since women in this province got the right to vote and hold office, yet we're still waiting on governments to deliver the pay equity. Pay equity has stalled in this province, and because government didn't consult workers or women's groups. So I asked the minister, now that she's in the Department of Labour, when will we see pay equity legislation fully implemented for true?
The Honourable the Minister of Rural Economic Development and Labour.
Thank you, Speaker. And again, I was the minister that introduced, for the first time ever, the only government in our province to actually introduce pay equity legislation. And I know my colleague who's now in the role, and we're already rolling up our sleeves to get work done. But that said, a new update on the pay transparency. Speaker, my gosh, they're so excited in here today. It's like the last day of school. Speaker, they can't contain themselves. They're very excited about the legislation as well, as we know. But as we know, we are drafting the framework currently for pay transparency regulations that will serve the basis for the detailed discussions with those targeted employers. So that work is ongoing. That work has now moved to the Department of Labour, of course. Staff are already hard working. They're already working on this, Speaker, and I look forward to bringing the best legislation, of course, for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, including women and gender diverse, Speaker. Thank you.
The Honourable the Member Labrador West.
Thank you, Speaker. Workers' health and safety must be top priority for governments. The establishment of an occupational health and safety clinic would help both employees and employers support healthy and safe workplaces and allow early intervention for occupational diseases. So I asked the Minister of Labour, will she establish a dedicated occupational health and safety clinic?
The Honourable the Minister of Rural Economic Development and Labour.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm glad to see the member for the third party is really putting me through the gears here today in our session. I'm proud to say that to date, 44 of the 48 recommendations have been completed, and there are 4 ongoing, 1 led by Workplace NL and 3 led by the provincial government. I have a list that I can certainly table, and again, we're committed to making the best legislation, working with everyone involved, all of our stakeholders, and I look forward to getting down doing that work. And I also welcome the member to certainly come over any time and we can have a sit down in a meeting to talk about the best practices. Thank you, Speaker.
Quick question, no preamble, please.
Speaker, transparency and accountability are what workers deserve. I asked the minister, will she establish publish all workplace health and safety inspections on the government website? The
Honourable the Minister for Rural Economic Development and Labour.
Thank you, Speaker. And as we know, our government is all about transparency. And I'm very proud of the practices, our budget, which we passed last night. And like I said, we're committed to making the best legislation, not just in this department, this wonderful department, this new department, with a focus on rural economic development, Speaker, but across government. So that said, said, we're always committed to bringing the best legislation forward and the information. My gosh, Speaker, they're so excited I can barely hear myself speak, Speaker. Thank you.
The time for oral question has expired.